It's Bears-Packers week. They said they didn't have a chance. They said that despite the Cowboys sucking the entire preseason and the first game against Washington, that the Bears couldn't go in and beat them in Dallas. But the Bears went into Dallas and they beat the Dallas Cowboys. It's pretty impressive. Their offense and defense, they looked like they were gelling. They both were gelling at the same time, for like the first time in a very long time. They looked great. Special teams, except for that, the incident where, Des Bryant ran it back for a touchdown. Like, the whole team was gelling. It was great. Let's start with the offense. Jay Cutler, that kid is something special. It looked early on, the offensive line, it looked dreadful again. Jay was on his back like 5 times. Jay was on his back a lot. And Jay could be heard screaming at the sidelines to his offensive line, "Can't we effing block anybody?" I mean, that doesn't sound like, a miffed quarterback, then I don't know what does. But that was the same question that we have had it on our minds for a very long time, the eventual offseason and preseason. But after the turning point of the game, I think for me, in terms of offense, was when Chris Williams went down with the hamstring injury. And first they brought Kevin Schaefer in to replace Williams, but then Cutler, got taken down again, and they switched him and Frank Omiel, and that was perfect. That did it. After that, Jay was on a hot streak. He had that first touchdown pass to Greg Olsen. Bears were in business. It's like, I think we could all take a collective sigh because the offense finally scored, and we're like, okay, we'll be okay. Then late in the first half, Cutler had that beautiful touchdown pass to Devin Hester, and I remember saying last week that Devin Hester isn't a receiver, and I'm gonna apologize for that. He sure as hell looked like a receiver in that catch, and in this game, he came up with quite a few key crucial grabs and yards after the catch, and that was crucial in this game. So I give him credit for that. Let's see, the last touchdown pass came in the fourth quarter for Cutler, and it was to Matt Forte. Matt Forte, he's leading all NFL running backs with 3 receiving touchdowns, which is good for Matt. I mean, their run game, once again, they averaged 2.9 yards a carry, I believe, in that Dallas game. But, I mean, when your passing attack is this dominant, do you really need to run a game? The answer is yes, but especially against the Packers next week, you're gonna need to establish that. But it worked for Dallas. That's all that matters. But there are some key statistics for the offense. They have 771 yards of total offense, and that is 4th in the NFL. Sorry, it's the 5th highest in the NFL, the 771 total yards of offense in these first 2 games. They are averaging 385.5 yards a game, which is also the 5th highest in the NFL. Jay Cutler leads all NFL quarterbacks with an average quarterback rating of 118.1. Yes, even above the great Peyton Manning. And Cutler has completed 68.8% of his passes, which is 4th in the NFL. So basically, this Mike Marks offense, it's working out so far. I mean, that's all we can ask for. You could see March is doing certain things that we never saw Ron Turner do, like when they were struggling in the first quarter, and Dallas was like full out blitzing because they're like, okay, this offensive line they can't do crap, and so they kept blitzing, and Cutler kept getting taken down and everything, and March was actually at that throw, the touchdown throw to Olsen. It was basically like he's saying, okay, you're gonna blitz. Okay, we're going to make you pay for it. And pay for what they did on that touchdown. So I love that March is making adjustments on the go. I heard that he, like, on the sidelines, if something wasn't working out, he'd grab a clipboard and they just, like, work out something new. Something that Ron Turner never did. He was always in his press box in his own little world, calling this play, and you had to do it. But I love what Martz is bringing to this offense and what he's done for Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is, like, he is, like, the hottest quarterback right now. He is, and he's got great teeth, by the way. Let me check. He is the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now. He has had 2 spectacular first games, and his stats are unbelievable. I mean, even dating back to, like, the last few games of last year, I think he leads all quarterbacks with, passer rating and touchdowns. So, I mean, he's averaging 3 touchdowns a game, I believe it is. Cutler, whatever Martin Cutler, it is a love fest in Chicago. It's looking like one of the biggest offseason moves right now because I don't think any of us expected the offense could look like this. And it's comforting because we've never had a passing attack like this. Okay, the defense, this is the defense we have been missing since 2006. They're not quite up to par yet with that group, but, I mean, they had 6 takeaways in these first 2 games, and that's tied for second in the NFL. Takeaways is, like, the mindset of this Lovie Smith defense, and they've done a pretty good job so far. Even though they didn't sack Romo, they didn't get physical pressure on him, they got pressure on him. And he had to run outside the pocket, and he would make errant throws that were either incompletions or bounced off a receiver and landed into DJ Moore's arms, which, by the way, DJ Moore had a great game. He had 2 interceptions of Romo, and I think he had a hand in that fumble, in the fumble. I think it was like in the 4th quarter. So DJ Moore had a pretty good game. He's in his 2nd year. He's doing pretty well. Back to defense. Though, like I said, like, there wasn't, like, they didn't sack him, but there was pressure on Romo. Julius Peppers is getting up there. They were probably the biggest thing for the Bears defense. They have allowed 56 total rushing yards in these first 2 games. That is the fewest in the NFL. Against Detroit, I don't think they allowed it. Like, they did not. I don't even remember seeing, like, I think the Cowboys would rush it, like, every once in a while, or maybe when they're on 3rd and short situations. But they did not run the ball at all. I mean, the Bears' run defense, it's been spectacular. 56 rushing yards in 2 games. And you got certain running backs in the NFL running for like 130 yards a game. And the Bears' defense allows 56 and 2. That's pretty awesome right there. They gotta still work on this. They gotta work on their secondary, because there's dating back to the first game against Detroit with the whole Calvin Johnson thing. I don't know why I'm bringing that up again. And then, like, there's certain throws. There's certain completions that should have been completions. But as of right now, the Bears defense they've been spectacular. No, I don't have any concern about that. Okay, I have a little concern about the secondary, but right now there's no real big cause for concern. That's very comforting after these last 3 years. Is the 3rd most accurate kicker in NFL history. That was probably the 1+ of the special teams on Sunday, just because that Des Bryant punt return, we're just going to ignore that. Brad Maynard didn't stand a chance tackling him. But yeah, Robbie Gould is the 3rd most accurate kicker in NFL history, and it's pretty good. Okay, on to this, the Bears-Packers game, Monday Night Football. It's Bears-Packers week. I think we're all pretty stoked. This is like the earliest I think the Bears and Packers have played in Chicago dating back to 1995, because it would normally be in Green Bay earlier in the year, and then you go to Chicago in December. So it's pretty exciting. Soldier Field is going to be rocking. This is the longest running rivalry in NFL history, one of the greatest sports rivalries of all time. And this is going to be, the Dallas game, it was a test, and they passed. This could be the turning point for the Bears this season. This game, they win this game, they can go out and they can beat New York the following week. And then they have, I think, Buffalo and Seattle and Carolina lined up. So, this could be the turning point for the season. They beat this game. They beat Green Bay. they could go on a long winning streak, and they could use that because later on in the season, it's going to be very rough when you play when you play the Patriots and the Jets. One of the things going for the Bears defense is the Packers are minus Ryan Grant, who went down, who was out for the season. Brandon Jackson hasn't. I mean, they played Buffalo last week. That's pretty much saying enough. But I mean, without Ryan Grant, this makes the Packers offense one-dimensional. And I think if the Bears can really get pressure on Rodgers, not just pressure, but they got to sack him. But if they can rattle him, which is kind of hard to do, they have the control, and that will be one of the biggest things. But also I think the key for the offense, for the Bears offense, that offensive line needs to hold up. Right now, we don't know about the Chris Williams injury. He had an MRI yesterday. We're not sure if he's going to be starting on Monday, but if he doesn't, I think they feel pretty confident in Omiel to step in that left tackle position and protect Cutler like they did against Dallas. It's going to be a little harder. You're going to have a hungry Packers defensive line coming at you. The offensive line needs to hold up. If so, I think Cutler can carve the Packers secondary. Hopefully we see more of Devin Aromashodu, because he didn't really play on offense that much this week because he had a few drops against Detroit the previous week, and I think that was punishment. They were saying it was an injury, but then I heard that was why, because he had some drop balls in the first game, and so they were punishing him for it. But yeah, pretty much. In the special teams, you're missing Tim Shaw right now. Just going to point that out. Special teams, they're solid. I mean, you can't allow those punt return for touchdowns, but I mean, they're pretty solid. So basically, I think the key to the game is just, controlling the ball. Control Aaron Rodgers. Control your offensive line. And they could win. My prediction. This is difficult. I'm going to have the Bears pulling the upset. They are an actually 4-point underdog at home. And I think I'm going to go with the Bears this week. As long as everything gels and they don't make silly mistakes, which they didn't make silly mistakes last week. They keep their focus. They don't make mistakes. The Bears can win this game. So I'm going to go Bears 24, Packers 21. That's my prediction. So don't forget to catch Bears-Packers Monday Night Football, 8:30 on ESPN. This is Alyssa, signing off for Diver Med Sports Gal and Bears Bits.